Grounded with John Tester and Marita DeJoria. It's been a rough couple of days. And one thing that I need to say thank you to former Senator John Tester about is his wisdom. Yeah, I know. He's surprised. I'm being sincere because it is it is my instinct as somebody who has been involved in news and journalism for a long time to hop on here and talk to you right as things are happening. And I still will have that instinct. But I called the senator and I said, hey, what do you think? And he said, there's a lot going on. I think we should let this breathe and figure out what's happening. And I think that was the right call. And I think we can all learn from that. And, I appreciate that so much. And I think that Utah Governor Spencer Cox said a lot of really smart things this morning. And one of the things he said was along those lines of, social media is a cancer, and it does drive in us this thing to say what we're thinking right away and put words out there right away. And we all need to remember that words matter and what we say matters, and it's smart to take a beat. So thank you, Senator, for helping me remember that.
Well, everybody knows you're the brains of this operation, Maritza. But I just want to say a couple things before we get going, because we are going to talk about the Charlie Kirk situation. First of all, my family's heart, and I know Maritza's does too, goes out to the wife and kids of Charlie Kirk. This is a human being that, even though some of the speech he said wasn't stuff that I agree with, he has every right to say it, and to have somebody extinguish that voice just for political reasons or any reason as far as that goes is totally unacceptable. I would also tell you that I was alive when Martin Luther King got killed, and I believe it was Teddy Kennedy. It might have been Robert Kennedy, but I believe it was Teddy Kennedy that got on and spoke to the African American community and said, "I know how you feel. My brother was assassinated, John F. Kennedy." And he says, "I was very bitter, but violence is not the solution here." I watched the cable shows. I haven't watched them last night, but I watched them the night before last, all of them. And it was so much about war and um,
Retribution.
retribution,
Yeah.
killing, that I think that it's incredibly dangerous. And the fact of the matter is, we can blame it on one side or the other, but let's just tamp the rhetoric down across the board, truthfully. Um, and if we're able to do that, then we can still have the kind of freedom of speech that we have enjoyed my entire lifetime and longer. But
And I think it's important to
for politicians to get on TV and say the things that they were saying night before last is not only dangerous, it's not correct, and it's stupid. And they need to understand that whether you're on digital media or cable TV or whatever, radio, it doesn't matter. The things they say matter. And they need to they need to, as you said at the beginning, Marisa, stop, take a breath, and think. And a lot of them aren't doing that, and I think that's really unfortunate.
Yeah, and the thing about, I know that somebody's going to take issue with something that you and I say today.
Yep.
And that's how it is. That's how it is right now. And that's okay. But the thing that is really hard right now is that you see a lot of, like I said, Governor Cox going on and really acknowledging that there's a lot of pain to go around right now. And maybe that pain is because you loved Charlie Kirk, but he also acknowledged that maybe that pain is because you really did not love Charlie Kirk and you didn't like the things he said. And we've all seen, some of these videos that are going around, really ugly comments about people of color, for instance, about women. And still you can say in the same sentence, he didn't deserve this. And that we can, and the governor said this so eloquently, that any life taken this way, whether it's Charlie Kirk or the kids, how many school shootings, or the politicians in Minnesota, they demand outrage from all of us, and you can't just say, "Well, what about this and what about this?" I mean, we should be mad that any life is taken this way.
Absolutely. Yeah, and anytime it gets to a point where people, uh, cheapen life, then we as a society have just cheapened ourselves, and so we've got a lot of work to do in this country. The country is very divided. It's been divided for some time now. There's truthfully politicians that say things that they shouldn't say, that inflame, and they're not based on facts either. That's not the way I was brought up. You try to deal with the issues from a factual standpoint and move forward. And I think it's really important in a world that is incredibly dangerous. The only people that are happy about the kind of stuff that they've seen go on in the United States with the division and the threats are our enemies. And I believe our enemies are China and Russia, North Korea and Iran. They're happy as clams about this because we're fighting amongst ourselves and we're threatening harm to one another instead of really focusing on where the real problem is. And the real problem and the people who really want to take us out and take us over both economically and militarily are from outside this country. And they too inflame the rhetoric on on digital media. So it's something that people need to be aware of and push back against. And like you said about the governor from Utah, I very very much appreciate people on both sides of the aisle who speak reasonable tone and common sense. And we're not seeing that from a lot of our elected officials in public office right now.
Yeah, and well, I wanna unpack a lot more about that. I have a lot of little strings to pull on, but I do wanna let you know you were out of town. Uh-oh.
Oh, oh, uh-oh. Well, we just hung up on that dude. It's all right.
Oh, sorry. They were probably calling about your car's extended warranty.
Nah, they probably wanted to buy all my wheat for let's see if it's the same person. Yeah, it is. Well, just hang on a second. We're gonna let this run out, okay? Well, but it's
Oh,
okay.
no.
This is
We're
life.
gonna
This
hear
is what happens when you go live on
Wait,
Substack.
hold on. We're about to hear who's
This is
calling you?
truly this is truly live. This is truly live. Yes, indeed. I gotta talk while they're announcing this dude's name so that you don't know who it is. But it actually is somebody who wants
Ah!
to buy my grain that I don't have, okay? So it's good. He's
Uh-oh.
done now. 4 rings on your
Okay. Okay, okay. So, this is that's
now
some
it'll
good
be my
levity.
former staff that starts calling me now, so,
Yeah, don't call him right now, we're busy.
yeah.
So while you were in DC, I actually recorded a conversation. I don't even know if you know about this, but I was struggling with when we were gonna air this and what we were gonna talk about, and I think that this is the perfect moment, because I did an interview about this documentary that I will say I think is very needed right now. And full disclosure, I'm helping the filmmaker, kinda get the word out, but this documentary is called Case for Kindness, and it premieres, this weekend on Sunday, September 14th on Amazon Prime, and, it's something I strongly believe in, and I will tell you, for those of you listening, um, I think of myself as a kind person. A common thing you'll hear me say to my son is, "We lead with kindness." And that's not always hard, or that's not always easy. Sometimes that's really hard. And, there were parts of this movie that really challenged me because they touch on a radical kindness that I don't know if I'm capable of. When you talk about a mother of a Sandy Hook child finding kindness for the person who killed her son, or a black man going and sitting down with members of the Ku Klux Klan to try to understand them. That's radical kindness and empathy, and it's hard. And the thing that I wanted to say about this is that Katie Tur said something many, many years ago, um, on MSNBC, and I know you're gonna laugh because I always talking about how I like my Greek my Greek news people. It's Katie, like Katie Tur. But she said something about how news should be uncomfortable. That's how it's supposed to be. If you're watching to just hear news that's comfortable, that's not the point. Like, the point is that we should feel challenged and it should feel hard and difficult. And so radical empathy might feel really hard right now. And I think we all should be wrestling with that.
Yep. Look, I mean, I'm gonna tell you, I think, by the way, they're right, but I think it's almost beyond human nature to be able to accept somebody who murdered your kids. I'll just tell you that.
I know. I know. How do you that's really painful.
That's a different level of kindness. I'll just say that. So
And that's kind of what Governor Cox hit on though today. And I think it's an important conversation that we should be having. He talked about social media being a cancer, and that as human beings, we are not meant or designed to absorb the kind of violence and hate that we're absorbing now, like in so much excess. And it's because of our phones. I mean, it's because of social media. I mean, that video that went around of the moment that Charlie Kirk was shot, I mean, it was shocking, but it circulated instantly. The networks did their best to like not show the really awful parts of it, but people had already seen it.
I did not, and I don't intend to. So
That's smart. Yeah,
well,
that's
that's
smart.
because I'm not on any of those damn platforms. I'm not on any of that crap, truthfully. So, and I say that with all kindness. It's crap, you know.
Another thing that I wanted to talk about is something that Bernice King wrote, Dr. Martin Luther King's daughter. And she wrote about that it saddens her that Charlie Kirk's children will likely one day that view that video, that no child anywhere should lose a parent in such a hateful and callous way, she said, and she would know. Um, and she also talked about this idea that we need to stop saying that there's no place for insert violence here in this country because we have had political violence for a very, very long time since the origins of this country. And it's something that needs to be recognized, and it's something that we need to overcome, and I think that's what makes me so mad about this, is that this should have stopped a long time ago with so many other events. How many events of political violence or any violence, and we continue to just see it play out, and it's really awful, and we are becoming desensitized, and I hate that. I don't want that.
Dangerous, incredibly dangerous. And yeah, you're right. Although I would just say this: I think that Martin Luther King had it right, where you deal with nonviolent solutions to problems. Those are much longer lasting, and that's what he did. Whether he was writing remarks in prison or whatever he was doing, and like I said, he in my mind was. I mean, he was I mean, his whole thing was when I was just a little kid, but the truth is the nonviolent approach is absolutely the way it needs to be done to be most effective. So that's it. And I would say to the lady that talked about the video of Charlie Kirk and the kids being able to see it. I mean, I would think the Kennedy kids were probably in the same boat, JFK's kids.
Yeah.
Those videos were around for a long, long time, and they could probably tell you upfront and personal how that impacted them, and I can't imagine it impacted them in a positive way. Uh, uh, it's the way it is.
Yeah.
One of them's still alive. One of them's gone in a plane crash, but it it's it's not good. It's not good. I mean, let's look. It's just not good. It screws up your head. So
Yeah. So I guess the big message here, I think, from us is that, you know, this is a hard time, and it's probably going to continue to be a hard time, but
yep.
we've gotta find it in ourselves to try radical kindness, try radical empathy,
Yep.
And you can do that while acknowledging things that are ugly, I think. I think we
Yep.
can do that together.
Yep. 100%. And it also doesn't mean that you shouldn't be critical of the government when the government's doing things that they shouldn't be doing. Um,
Yeah.
it's the way it is. It's how you keep your democracy, quite frankly.
So now we're gonna pivot into the conversation I had with documentary filmmaker Stephen Sawalich, who made Case for Kindness, which premieres on Amazon Prime this Sunday, September 14th. And also joining us in this conversation is one of the film's subjects, John Paul DeJoria, who is the co-founder of Paul Mitchell's Hair Systems and also Patron. He's a philanthropist and entrepreneur. And we sat down for a chat about the meaning of kindness. And we did this before the news of this week's murder of Charlie Kirk and everything that ensued. But it's an important conversation to have right now. We hope you enjoy it. Stephen, I want to talk about this film first of all. Like, you set out
Yeah.
to make this film on kindness. Like, at an abstract level, kindness sound, oh, well, that's easy. That's easy. But this film did something for me where it really challenged the depths of who I am to say, wow, like being kind is not always so easy. It's not always the easy route. And it feels like something people are really forgetting about right now. So what's the big takeaway that you learned after making this film?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest takeaways I learned was that kindness is hard. Because I think people are afraid to put themselves out there and make themselves vulnerable, and to see like, will that person be kind back? I don't know. And I think in order to be kind, and John Paul can talk to this further, as he's one of the kindest, most generous guys I know, and which is why I wanted to interview him in the film, was, it's just being yourself, and being kind to others, and, not expecting anything in return.
Yeah, JP,
And
you talk about that a lot, and your story resonates so much with me because you are a prime example of the American dream. And you went from homelessness to a billionaire. You co-founded Paul Mitchell and Patron. I'm wondering how kindness played a role in your remarkable journey.
Well, for starters, sir, what you said was correct, and that is that the best thing for one to do is to be able to be kind or give to somebody else and ask nothing in return. That's the whole key right there. So if people know that, hey, it's okay to be kind, and the greatest high you'll ever get is when you do something for somebody else that asks for absolutely nothing in return. To be able to build a company, for example, like Paul Mitchell, when our backer pulled out and I was homeless at that time, you'd have to be kind to people. If you weren't kind to them, they're not going to do special things for you. But the greatest thing about kindness, and when you do something for somebody else, it makes you feel even better than they are, especially how they're feeling at that time. They're feeling good because you're kind to them, but also it helps change their life and your life. It's like when you get, it's an interesting thing to do. When you get on an elevator, especially in a busy city, get on the elevator, but don't look at the door. Turn around at the door and look at everybody in the elevator and say, "Good morning, everybody." I used to do that myself at my office, and like around the holidays, when there's a lot of different mixed people, different religions, I would just say, "Happy Santa Claus," and I would get, "Oh, Merry Christmas, oh, Happy Hanukkah," all these different things people would tell me. But the Happy Santa Claus, I would smile. Most everybody smiles right back, go, "Hey, thank you, and happy whatever to you too." So I think it's a matter of people knowing that it's okay to be kind. And if you're kind to somebody, it's much more powerful than being like, "Oh, he's really a super cool guy," or "He's just really like, he's the guy here, we better listen, or he's the boss." It's the kindness. The kinder people are, the more people want to be attracted to you.
Do you remember a specific moment that stood out to you when you felt that high? Like something that just, like some act that you did that
Oh,
really
yeah.
maybe.
Oh, gosh, yes. In fact, the one that comes to my mind is one of the biggies, not one of the biggest things I've done philanthropically, but the one that sticks with me. It took us 2 years at Paul Mitchell to be able to pay our bills on time. Not pay them off, but pay them on time. We had $2,000, my partner and I, left over, okay? And that was like, wow, we're going from day to day, week to week, 2,000 bucks each. So I went down to the El Torito restaurant in Marina del Rey, and I was gonna treat myself. I'm going to take the menu, but instead of ordering off the right side of the menu, like what does it cost, right? I went to the left side. What do you get? Okay, well, I can order whatever I wanted. I think the most expensive thing back in 1982 was probably carne de asada for 9.95. Anyways, so I ordered whatever I wanted, right? Which was probably for that restaurant a big bill, maybe $20 worth with a margarita thrown in. They didn't have Patron, but a margarita was thrown in there. Anyways, that was my friend. And right in front of me was a table with about a dozen children and a parent at each end. Well, anyways, I was watching the lady in front of me, so I was behind her there, looking at the menu and looking at the right side the way I always did. How much does it cost? What could you get for it? These kids were all from the inner city. I could tell the way they dressed, the way they talked. They were like a little treat of some sort. So I don't know what made me do this. I do not know what made me do this, but I followed the waiter in the kitchen and I said, that lady in front of us, tell her to order whatever she wants. I already figured in my head, what's the worst sandwich they could do? $10, $15 each kid. You know, I mean, that's the worst they could ever do. And I could afford that. So I said, tell them to order whatever they want. If they want to take a little something with them, you know, that's okay too. But don't tell them who did it. And I don't even know why it said just don't tell them who did it. And I'll give you a 15% tip. Now I felt great because in those days, if you gave a 10% tip, you felt really, really good. I said 15% tip. I thought that was the coolest thing. So I sat down and he went ahead and did it. Well, the lady, my God, she said, well, who is it? Who is it? He says, I'm sorry, I can't tell you. This lady stands up. Now I'm directly behind her. She turns around and looks at me, can't be this guy, and slowly looks around. It's a big restaurant, the room, trying to figure who's looking at her, who looks like they're going to do it. So she stands with her back to me, a very angelic voice, raises her hands and says, whoever you are, and the restaurant stopped, whoever you are, God bless you. You have no idea what you're doing for me and these children, no idea. Goose pimples ran up and down my body, and I was high as a kite for the next couple of days. And I'm a child of the 60s. You can't smoke any kind of that's gonna make you that high. I did someone else asking nothing in return. So that's
Oh,
one of that one really stands out, one of many. And it made me just feel wonderful. She never knew who it was.
what a
That's
wonderful
amazing.
so you never fessed up, you never said it was me?
No, absolutely not. No, it just was and I don't even know why I did that. I don't even know why I've done that. But I do that quite often now, but that's the first time I ever really thought about something I did asking for nothing in return. It felt so good.
Steven, do you have any stories like that, like memorable things that you saw that immediate reaction, like, "Oh, wow, that felt really good."
Yeah, I mean, traveling around the world and like JP doing a lot of philanthropic work, you see a lot of things and you help a lot of people. The story that when he was saying that came to mind was we were in Ethiopia and in the area we were in doing work was they have kind of it's called mossy foot. It's elephantitis of the foot. And this guy hasn't left his home in 20 years because his feet were so bad he couldn't walk. And I got to know him and his family, and he was just the nicest guy, and the biggest thing he wanted to do was help his family and provide, and he wasn't able to do that for the last 20 years, and they have 4 kids, and his wife was doing the work, and, and they had the support of the community, and so I was talking to him, and I understood that the Mossy Foot there is an operation you can do, and so I started thinking and I started making some calls and I had a number in my head of saying like JP of like, okay, I can do this much.
Mhm.
And then I'll have to get some help from other people. And so after I made a call, I was able to talk to a surgeon in South Africa who could help him. It was a 3-day procedure. And I was thinking, oh gosh. And all in all, it was about $300. So $300 to help this guy
Change his life.
change his life after 20 years of not being able to walk 10 yards from his home. And, and it wasn't until I started asking questions that I understood how to help. And I think that's one of the biggest things too, is just talking to people and communicating and, you know, not saying, oh, you need this, but really understanding and listening to them on what their needs are and what you can do to help.
Yeah, it's really a great point, and we have to talk to people, and on our podcast, we talk a lot about politics, and a lot of people don't feel like they wanna be very particularly kind right now, and we see leaders from all stripes throwing names out and we see this political divide. And I'm wondering like how you both navigate that. Like what would you say to people to get back to a place where, we might not agree on everything policy-wise or in politics, but we can disagree respectfully without calling names, without being unkind.
When you get nasty stuff and you start talking to people negatively, then your mind is full of negative thoughts. Part of being kind is to get those negative thoughts off your mind. And what I like to share with all your listeners is that get rid of the baggage on your shoulders. You cannot change yesterday's newspaper. So part of being kind, I think, is to not only tell the truth, but don't carry the baggage on your shoulder like, well, so and so lied to me. That's on your head. Whatever you put out to the universe is going to stick. If you think negatively about somebody or unkind about somebody, it goes out to the universe. It affects everybody. If you think kindly about someone, or even just have the thought, don't say it. That thought goes out to the universe. If you do one action of kindness a day, it would change your entire life. Entire life changes. Something nice. Something nice could be something as easy and inexpensive as "Good morning. How are you doing?" to a complete stranger. Complete stranger. How you doing? I hope you have a good day. And hello here, hello there. And people aren't used to that anymore. We used to have it that way when I was young, but I'm much older than all you guys, and I see things change. I go back to some of those old ways of being kind to one another. Another thing they could do also as a segue to being kind, if somebody tells you something really negative or gossiping about something, a way to change them would be with these beautiful words. I could appreciate that. Instead of saying, "No, you are so wrong. My God, the science doesn't say that," right? You say, "I can appreciate that. However, I also heard this. What do you think about that?" It kind of gets them off one bad subject and maybe thinking about something else. And if they still are one-sided, angry, hate this person, whatever it might be, it's a matter of, "I wish you well in life. I'm trying to live a life of peace and happiness now. And one day, all this stuff will be off your shoulders. You won't think about it anymore. Right now, it's consuming you. The press started that, or a group of people started that. You want to be part of the group. Whatever it is, you're a wonderful person. And I wish you peace, love, and happiness. That changes people sometimes too.
Does. Yeah, and I think people wanna be kind, and I think a lot I think there's a small majority of the people who don't and aren't, and I think today we're being forced to pick a side, and my opinion's my opinion, your opinion's your opinion, there's no changing it, and I think, to JP's point too, it's just conversation, and it's talking to people and being kind to one another, but listening. And it's like, I think you can listen and you can have a conversation and you can be kind to that person and not expect anything in return, but also not try to change their perspective either, but
Right.
accept it and understand it. And I think the more people start doing that, then the kinder we'll be. And I think better off as well. And especially in the media, if we can start showing that side as opposed to just putting polar opposites on, and showing that argumentative depiction but show a conversation. I think that would be incredible.
Okay, last question. What do you both hope people get out of this film?
To just learn that it's okay to be kind and kindness is the way to go. And I would have never been able to go from totally living in my car and homeless to building several major corporations and having what I have today if I wasn't kind. There's no way in the world. And if you're not kind and you're lucky enough to make a lot of money, but you're not kind, people look at you as, "Oh, that total ass, he doesn't deserve it. Look what an ass they are." Kindness really works and it makes you live longer and feel better and healthier.
I agree. And it is. It's be kind to one another, as simple as that sounds. It's taking that chance and putting yourself out there and realizing you may not get anything in return, but that's what kindness is. And it's through the biggest thing I saw with a lot of the stories that we focus on in the documentary is through our darkest moments, people have found purpose. And when times are bad, it's looking within yourself and finding that positive light to guide you through.
All
And
right.
you
Well,
create the light. You create the light yourself. Don't depend on anybody else to do it. You create it yourself.
yeah, and then you can sleep at night and know you did your best to be a good person that day and
Mm.
lead with kindness.
Make it part of your life. If how so.
I thought he so. All right, we want to thank
Whoa.
we want to thank our guest today. Of course,
Thank you.
the film Case for Kindness. It premieres on Amazon Prime on September 14th. So make sure you go check it out.
It's good. What else you got?
Okay.
Oh, what kind of shirt you wearing? My job is the news?
My job, this is a nod to Barbie. You probably didn't see that movie.
I didn't see it. Sorry. You know,
I'm just going to assume you haven't seen any movies.
Shawshank Redemption. That's the only movie I've seen. That's my favorite.
Oh, so Neighbor John,
Yeah.
who helps produce our audio, he's
Yeah.
never seen that one. So what's your pitch there? You gotta tell him.
Make sure he's got enough time to watch the whole thing without having to go to the bathroom or go get a cup of coffee or get popcorn. It's great. There's one other movie I see and I like it too, and that's Forrest Gump. Those are my two movies. That's it.
Oh, Forrest Gump. My son watches that all the time. Oh, what a great movie that
Yeah,
was.
I watch every time they're on reruns. I watch them. My wife goes, "Shut it off. Go watch something else." You know, what can I say?
I'm gonna get you watching Star Wars.
Yeah, well, I mean, is it as good as Shawshank Redemption? Truthfully, I mean, I can't imagine it can be.
I mean, it's just, I don't know if they're comparable, but Star Wars is like this epic battle of good versus evil, right? Thanks, Nancy. Nancy says she loved the Barbie and my T-shirt as a former reporter. Thanks, Nancy. I appreciate that. Okay, so next Tuesday, I was wrong. In our earlier episode this week, I said that we have Aaron Parnas on Wednesday. It's not. It's on Tuesday. I made a mistake. So we have him on Tuesday, and we are very much looking forward to that conversation. And we would love to hear from you on what you want us to talk about. We're going to do one of these Substack Lives, so you can write in your messages as we go. I think those are helpful. What, you have some news? What's going on?
No, I got nothing. Yeah, I give a little lead. So because
Oh, he's looking at his calendar.
maybe when Angus King Staffers is watching this, that we're
Oh,
gonna
that's
have
right.
Angus on at some point in time when it works for Angus. We're gonna have him on. We're gonna talk about
That's
what it's like.
let me say, Senator Angus King.
Yeah.
Okay.
Senator Angus King, the old black cow. We're gonna have him on, and we're gonna talk about what it's like running as an independent. The good part, the good, the
Yeah.
bad, and the ugly. So it'll be fun.
Because that is a conversation that people keep asking me about. Can an independent win right now? I think that's an interesting question in our heated
And
political environment.
Angus happens to be an independent who has won.
That's right. That's right. So we're going to ask him about that. So we want to hear. We don't have that one nailed down quite yet, but we want to hear from you about all of those things. I did get a message. I can't pull it up because my phone is is recording right now. But I did get a message to ask you about a cat that lived in your barn for 27 years. But we could talk about that another day.
We've had a lot of those cats. She's talking about Smokey or Goldie. That's what I want to know.
Apparently, this one didn't have a name. How does it live there for 27 years and you don't have a name for this cat?
I'm not sure that person knew what they're talking about, but that's okay.
Okay, tell me about your hat. Let's have a little bit of Rolling Stone.
I think it has to do with it's a ranch in Ovando that Jim Stone owns called the Rolling Stone Ranch. I think his kid's operating it now. And I just happened to pull it out of the pile and it went on. So that's it.
All right.
No agenda behind it or nothing. You know, just it's close to Trixie's. That's all I got to tell you.
It was your birthday a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I am late in this.
Yeah.
But I do have a gift coming for you. So hopefully by the next time we do an episode, you'll be able to wear that.
Yeah, and just for the record, Angus King's from Maine and Bernie's from Vermont, but they're both from the Northeast. And I will tell you that I appreciate you committing to give me a present for my birthday because I'm probably not going to give you one.
I don't expect you to.
You should.
I don't even expect you to know when my birthday is.
There should be expectations with gifts, you know, the gift back.
No, I bought you something because it made me laugh out loud, and I think you'll enjoy it. So that's all. I don't expect anything back.
Was it a cigar?
No.
Oh, damn. I was hoping.
Well, we'll see. One last thing though before we go. I think that you and I should talk about we have a unique experience that's shared, and that you and I both have been and continue to be on the receiving end of messages that aren't very nice.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
What do you think? What do you wanna say about that?
Well, I just, uh, would say that I think it just shows first of all, I don't read them. I throw them away. And so they're wasting their time sending them to me, but I think it just shows the kind of, lack of regard and respect for anybody who, is critical of the way things are going, and we're not always critical. We actually give credit when credit's due. We tell Governor today, "Look, I didn't see it. I think you saw it. The interview that Zinke gave on TV was
Yeah.
a good interview." Um, but by the same token, when you have other things that happen that need to pay attention, like classified information getting treated like it's just okay to put it on a regular platform, and people don't say anything about it, I think that's a mistake. And if that upsets you, that's fine. And it's a free country. You can send all sorts of notes if you want, but I would just like to have people take a breath and think a little bit. That's all.
Yeah,
Be-
like, if you're thinking about sending, a death threat to somebody today, don't do that. Let's just not do that. I think that's a pretty simple ask.
Yeah, it's pretty silly. By the way, these aren't death threats that I've been getting. They're just emails of disgust, and that's the way it is. And I can tell by what's in the subject line, so I just toss them.
Alright, well, that's all we have for you today, but we wanna thank you all for joining us here on Grounded. Again, we'll be live with Aaron Parnas on Tuesday. And, yeah, we wanna thank you all for joining us. We wanna thank Pearl Jam for letting us use their music, and we'll see you next time.
All right, tally ho.